Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. I am here for Talk Sport as well as True Hill Heat for an exclusive interview with Impact Knockouts champion, the legend herself, Mickie James. Thank you so much for joining me. It's an honor to speak to you,
Oh,
Mickie.
thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Very excited to chat with you. My first time chatting with you ever, but also my first time chatting with you since becoming the new Impact Knockouts champion. You're a four-time Knockouts champion, 10-time women's champion overall. How does it feel to be like considered a living legend in the business?
Oh, it's still weird to hear that word. I'm like, oh, it's funny to say it like when you're saying it in promos or whatever, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of, um, was the humble brag? Is that what it is? The humble brag?
Yes.
Um,
Oh, humble flex. Humble
the
flex.
humble flex. Like, oh, I don't know. No, honestly, it's been incredible. This whole last year or so has been a real whirlwind. A lot of stuff has transpired and happened. And as I'm sitting here now, and we're in Dallas because we're promoting the pay-per-view coming up next month, Hard to Kill, which is very, I think it's on point for Deonna and I with everything that has kind of happened leading
Yeah.
up to and even going into Hard to Kill. Um, it's been pretty amazing. There's been like obviously some things that have floored me and some things there's been a lot of unexpected surprises along the way, but sitting now in the seat like out of it, like I'm like, wow, like I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate and I'm really grateful to have such awesome fans that stand behind me no matter what. I'm very grateful that Empower did what it did and it validated my fight and my beliefs still. And I'm going to keep working on that whole vision and girls and women and how we can continue to let them shine. And yeah, and I think there's a lot has happened, including me winning this again, which I would not have expected that because obviously when I came out and I was putting all my energy and my focus into no, I want to do Empower and I want to find a way to make it work and find a way for these every woman to shine, every company to shine, all the things. Um, that was my one focus, so I wasn't even worried about. I could have went out on the scene and wrestled and went somewhere and did all that immediately, but I felt like I did that last time, you know,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to replay. I was like, I feel like this is my next step because I know I love the business so much and I always want to contribute to it and be a part of it. And I guess in my mind, I had said, oh, well, whenever I retire, which that wasn't in my head until other people started putting that in my head
Yeah.
about the whole retire conversation. But um, I knew that eventually I would, and I would thought that I would be kind of behind the scenes, like helping the girls and but more on a creative side because that's how my brain has always thought. Like that's just I think storylines, I think character development, I think promos, I think those kind of things. Um, and like where we're going and how to get there and all those like that's the fun part for me.
Yeah.
Uh, but then then fast forward and to do Empower and host this show and have all these masterminds like Jazz and Medusa and Gail and all that helping. And then, this the incredible talents like from legends to, we had the Kong moment, the retirement moment. We had,
Beautiful.
I still get chills. And I was like, I told her, I was like, I don't know how I missed that part of the conversation that she was going to retire out there live.
Yeah.
Mind blown. I was like legit in tears. Like I couldn't believe it. And I was reacting as the fans because it was I like obviously I knew she was going to come out, but I didn't know that was going to go down. And I'm just like then and I still get chill bumps now. What a magical moment that was all together. And I think it was a perfect like button for the pay-per-view for everything that it represented. Because those two women were killing it and breaking
Yeah.
down and shattering and doing all these things, main eventing and all that. Um, before it was a thing, and I think that it was just cool to do that, to do that moment there. It was just hella powerful,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Knockouts championship was on the line and it was on the line against Melina, a living legend herself who had never been in an Impact ring, who had
Nope.
never went for the Knockouts championship, and we were, able to do that on Impact Television to build up to get to that moment. It was just a lot of cool things happened, and I feel like there's just going to be more and more cool things happening out of the backside of it, because I can just see it happening. And I'm all for it. I think that I love it. I loved seeing all these companies come together and support their women together, and I love seeing them step up and create more opportunities for their women. So it's exciting. It's exciting times.
And let me just say, as a fan personally, I want to thank you for NWA Empowerrr, because that was like a beautiful like picture of my lifetime of women's wrestling, because you had like Medusa there, and that Lunda Blaze was like the first women's wrestler I ever discovered. Then you got you there, a representation like you, Trish Lita, like WWE coming to women's wrestling and making it more prominent. And you got Awesome Kong and Gail Kim. Then you got the future ladies like Layla Hirsch, Camille. So it was just a beautiful portrait of women's wrestling.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, thank you, but I couldn't have done it without those women, especially my lead girls that were like helping run the show, but also without Billy giving me the platform to say, hey, I want you to do it. Why don't you do it on the NWA platform? We have all of our girls here, maybe because they have such a great relationship with everyone anyway. Maybe we can find a way to make it work in everyone. And then I obviously have such a great relationship with Impact. So, I just kind of had those conversations myself. And then, and to see AEW and Impact and obviously NWA, but obviously WWE represented, because there was a lot of myself, Melina, like a lot of women, Gail, just all these women that had a career there and were able to come and, and different levels. You think about Chelsea, who won the cup, and we got released on the same day, and she's come out like a powerhouse. And I think she's just kicking down, like she's working everywhere, she's wrestling everywhere, and she's incredibly talented. And I think that we're all getting to see how talented she really is, and she's starting to get that like confidence and stuff back in herself again, because sometimes you need a kick to remind yourself. I think sometimes it's like those game changers, those like life-changing moments, when they happen, you have two choices. You can fall or you can rise, and you just have to choose which one you're going to do, so
you really use like the departure over there as like a catapult to more like exciting things. And one of those exciting things is, of course, Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill on January 8th at the Bomb Factory in Dallas, Texas. I know you are
no longer the Bomb Factory.
No, what is it?
No, because Moose and I were out there yesterday, and he said the Bomb Factory, and they're like, no, it's not the Bomb, it's the Factory.
The Factory.
The Factory in Deep Ellum, which I also had to learn how to say Ellum. It's beautiful, but the venue, stunning. I'm excited. I don't think I've ever been there. And then I'm also like, I want to book a concert there, because they had a band in there, like just kind of sound checking and stuff. Yeah. And it's so loud, and the acoustics, it's just a beautiful venue. So the Factory in Deep Ellum, January 8th, Hard to Kill. Right now, Deonna's getting her rematch, as she should, as the former longest reigning champion ever. And she beat everyone except for me. And she clearly wants her rematch. What do you think about Deonna coming back, how she's come back? I in her jeans and t-shirt, no Pope hat.
No, she's
no virtuosa garb, all that thing. She's like back to bare bones, back to the bones.
She just seems more focused, more determined, and it seems like you have brought out a new side of her. And I want to tell you, like, you two have put together one of the best rivalries of 2021. So are you going into Hard to Kill after your victory at Bound for Glory, picking up your fourth knockouts reign? Are you coming in with like the same game plan to Hard to Kill, or are you going to make some adjustment for a new version of Deonna Purrazzo?
I have to make some adjustments for this new version of Deonna Purrazzo, because that is the one thing. Like, I see what she's doing, and yeah, maybe she is getting back to basics. Maybe she is going back to bare bones or whatever. But I already thought Deonna was a dangerous woman, as she was, because she was cold and she was calculated, and she was very meticulous in her delivery. And so I knew that going in there now. But now you add on the fact of the unpredictability, because now she's a bit of a loose cannon in the sense of, you know, she's feeling like she has to switch up her game plan. But what I also see is weakness, because the fact that when she lost her championship, it caused this immense change from everything that she was. It's like, it makes me now understand how important this championship was to her. So that makes her a bit dangerous, because she's lost her identity and she's forgot, like, she really feels lost without this championship. And that's a real telling thing. So yes, so I have to worry about, like, one, she's dangerous. And she obviously, I've always said, is probably, you know, one of the best women's champions I've ever been in the ring with. She's so technically sound, she's crisp, she's clean, she's calculated, she takes her time, she's confident, and confidence is key. All of these things, she's incredible. She was an incredible champion. Obviously you can't be champion forever. Forever champion doesn't work. You just can't. There's always going to be somebody better than you eventually one day, and that's just how it is. I mean, I'm a 10-time champion, but that means I've lost in 9. But I still win in the end.
Always coming out on top.
Always coming out cream of the crop. No, but I look at her now, though, with this bare bones, the jeans, the t-shirts, the kind of taped wrist, and like, she's very focused, and I think she's like trying to prove to herself again that, like, she's got that edge and give herself that edge again. But I also see that weakness in the sense of she's lost her identity, and she's feeling a little lost out there without the championship.
She is, and you brought that out of her. So are you expecting, like, your matchup at Bound for Glory was physical? You guys brawled up the ramp, down the ramp, all over the ringside area, basically. Are you expecting an even more physical contest coming up at Hard to Kill?
I'm sure. I mean, I'm prepping for it. You know, before, I felt like I was prepping because we had fought so much, between her showing up at my house, by the way.
Yes.
Between all the things that led up to that match. So I knew that one was going to be a physical match, but I also knew stylistically, like, Deonna is a technical wrestler. She wants to break you down. She wants to break down your body parts, and ultimately make you tap out, because that's a satisfying. It's one thing to pin someone. It's another thing to make them tap out. Yeah. You know, it is. It's because it's a very humbling moment when you have to tap out. I've tapped out before. It's very humbling when you have to literally give up. You know, I still kick myself every time. So, and it sucks. So I think that's always, and that's another part of that mind manipulation kind of style for her, because she's a strong wrestler. She's got some killer, like, finishers and stuff like that, but she likes the icing on the cake of putting the cherry on the top with the tap out. And that's very apparent. But this one going in, I think, with the edgier Deonna and a little bit more unhinged, unpredictable Deonna, where I don't know what she's going to do out there, so I really have to be prepared for anything, you know. So we'll see.
It's gonna definitely.
I'm gonna kick her butt. I'm gonna kick her. I was gonna say kick her ass, but I was like, either way, I'm gonna kick her ass. Back and forth. We have our Twitter wars, you know. I'll have to put each on there, though, for the kids.
Hey, you brought up the scene that went down, the fight on the farm, basically, with you and Deonna. How was all of that, like, put together and came about? Because, like, her just showing up out of nowhere, like, it just
should have had her arrested, is what I should have.
I mean, that's what most people would have called on. I know I saw some people on social media asking, why didn't anybody call the cops? You know,
I know,
intruder
hanging. He pretty much told her where I was. He's like, oh yeah, she's down at the little barn. I like how he threw that in there. And I'm like, cleaning stalls, no less, cleaning stalls. Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously Impact was taping in Nashville, you know, at the Skyway Studios for a while. So I knew that they were in the area and they were around, and you know, I guess that's what she decided to do. And it felt like, and it was obviously embarrassing to get my own ass kicked on my own property and try to get drowned in a water trough. Come on.
I think that was one of the rare cases of waterboarding in professional wrestling.
That's kind of what it was.
I wasn't sure if I was watching Impact Wrestling or Ozark. I was kind of confused for a second there.
It was intense. It was intense, and the hose and the thing and I went to go throw like a barrel at her, and then it flew behind me, and I had to go get it and chase it down so I could throw it at her again because it went out. It was so wet after it was intense. That was a fight. And it was different. You don't see things like that, especially with the knockouts. You don't see those off the reservation kind of moments. So a lot of people were talking about it, whether they loved it or hated. It was a pretty good button for her to be able to come to my house and kick my butt in my own home. And we'll go, oh, she's lucky it was down at the barn and not the house.
Oh man, I worry of what would have happened if she came knocking on your door. But I expect the hard to kill match to be very intense, but I don't know if it's going to be as physically intense as the Ultimate X, which is Impact has announced that the winner of your match with Deonna Purrazzo will verse the winner of the first ever female Ultimate X match. So how do you think the introduction
that I meant to say was that the winner of the Ultimate X match will go on to face you, Mickie?
Yes. We're going in under the assumption you're coming out the champion.
I have to mentally you have to check yourself that way. But I am very, very excited for that match.
Plus you're in Dallas and you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and they're doing well. If you lose, then it's gonna throw off the whole trajectory of the season.
It can't. No, it's not gonna be on me. I can tell you that right now. I intend on winning. Like I do say that, like I'm very confident, but obviously I know there's always a chance to lose. All it takes is 3 seconds. But I think you have to mentally check yourself and see yourself as the champ, because once you're there, you're halfway there. So I'm going in confident in the sense that I'm walking out of Hard to Kill as champion. But that Ultimate X match, I'm super stoked for, and I'm very excited for the women that are going to be in it. I know that it is going to be a locker room sellout. I feel like for that match, it's conversations that have happened before, like, hey, we should. And I think there's always been a little bit of reservations to see the women or to have the women do that match because it is such a dangerous match, and we've seen the guys do it, and there's some crazy things that happen. And I think there was a little bit of reservation about it. So, to have to be in a place now, and I think that's what I mean, is like the growth and from Empowerrr to all these things unfolding out of it, bringing back the knockouts, knockdown to now this X Division, first ever X Division match for the ladies. It's pretty incredible, and the girls are going to kill it, and they're going to have an incredible match. I'm almost glad I'm not in that match because, again, like my son, I'm scared of heights. Even though I've done cages matches, like I get up there and I'm like, whoa, this is far. This is real far. I have like a love-hate, like I like roller coasters, but I'm in my I'm also fluttering the whole time. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I do kind of wish I was in the match because it's all that history making moments and stuff, but I'm also in a championship match and I'm super excited to see all the girls go out there and kill it. And it's going to be awesome. And I certainly am going to be sitting in Gorilla watching it. And I can assure you that probably at least a hard 80% of the locker room are going to be the same, unless they're in the shower or something.
I expect all the fans to be watching as well. Who do you want to see in this Ultimate X match, and who do you think would be like a favorite for this?
Well, I feel like Jordan Grace is probably the favorite because of her strength. She's so strong. But then I look at stylistically for that type of match and the men that I see that are super successful. And then I have to lean more towards like a Tasha Steelz or towards, an
Sure.
Alicia or somebody who's smaller that can kind of scoot, because it's a lot of strength, you know, like you have to be strong, but you also have to be able to hang and kind of get your feet up. And, you know, Jordan, she's powerful, but she's also a lot of muscle, and that can be
Yeah.
tiring up there on the X hanging. So I don't know. I think, you know, we could get thrown off by a wild card, you know, somebody that we didn't expect, because that's kind of the unpredictability of that match is like, you know, you all have to, I just hope that the girls lean towards their strengths.
So I'm looking forward to it. Jordan Grace was one of the names I thought of. Tasha Steelz, I'm in New York, so I've seen her on
I
the
love
independent
Tasha.
scene. I love me some Tasha Steelz
I
as
love me
well.
some Tasha too. She's sassy and she's great on the mic. You know, she's
Yeah.
sassy and she's got personality, and yeah, I like her a lot. I'm just trying to think. Lish, I love Lish to death, and I feel like she's been there forever,
Yeah.
for a long time now. I'm interested to see who's going to be in the match. Yeah, that's crazy.
one
Okay.
of, one of the more exciting parts of the Hard to Kill show, but Impact has kind of been a active participant in the Forbidden Door. Like you brought up several ladies that have done it themselves, like Chelsea Green. I consider her the Forbidden Door because she's been everywhere.
Right.
And you have been appearing on both Impact and NWA, even defending the Knockouts Championship against Kira Hogan at NWA Hard Times too. What company or competitors would you like to square off with in 2022 that you haven't already?
Well, I would be willing to take on anyone who wants to challenge me, you know, obviously,
Yeah.
always. I'm a fighting champion. But I don't know. I think that, you know, I look at that whole thing and I go like, well, the knockouts have been doing it right by the women for a long time. Like,
Yes.
we really have. Before it was trendy, before it was cool, they were always giving the knockouts place to shine, and they were doing knockouts, knockdowns, and stuff, and one night onlys and things like that. Um, well ahead of the curve. They really were. And I think it really was a catalyst in a lot of that, like conversations of like give divas a chance, women's wrestling matters, and those things that came up out of it. And to be able to do Empower and to be able to bridge that gap and to be able to do all this business on Impact to get the Knockouts World Championship
Yeah.
represented on the show, and then to be able to have the AEW represented on the show, and then to be given the platform by Billy, who is my friend, and the platform and the relationship I already have with him. It's just like I've been at this for a little bit of time, and in my journey, I've created a lot of relationships with friendships and kinships with people who kind of get me and understand me along the way, and I'm grateful for that because it really has allowed me. That's one of the reasons why Empower was so successful, because it really was a coming together, and seeing the companies kind of spotlighting all their girls separately,
Yeah.
um, and together on the show. Like, it was really a powerful night, and it was a powerful moment. It was a powerful statement by every company. So I really appreciate that part. But then coming on the other side, just as like now as a champion and being able to go out there and do these matches and have these, challenges, and to level up and kind of prove everybody that I never really lost it in the first place. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's really cool. And so there's tons of matchups that I would love to have. There's still tons of moments that I would love to have. Probably with people in each of the companies, if I was to be honest. Um, and obviously there's a lot of things that go. It's always hard to say, like, who would you like to see face in this company or that company? Well, there is still that thing of the forbidden door, and I feel like, in some places and in some minds when it comes to that, so some of that's out of your hands, so it's a lot of dream match booking. I was grateful that I was able to do that at Empower, and there's moments that kind of happen that we can kind of tease on it. But I mean, for me, I still would want a moment with Charlotte, because I never got it. That's number one. Like, that will always be like, I really wanted to have that moment with her. Not that I don't know why it matters so much. I think because
I wanted that match too, as a fan personally.
I don't know why. And I'm like, I don't know why it matters to me so much, but I'm like, God, we finally got that little moment in the Rumble, like a little beat,
Yeah.
And it was pretty awesome. It's just, my whole tenure there, the whole time I was back, we never were in the ring together until that moment. till that moment.
Wow.
That's so crazy to me. And you think about it, because I was pretty much in there, and it's important. I mean, I would have loved to have had a run, like a real angle with Sasha, with Bailey, with Becky. I love all those girls. They're mega talented, and you always think about like, oh, what I could do with them or what we could do together. But yeah, I think Britt is amazing. I'd love to do some stuff with her. Serena, I want to wrestle Serena always, forever. I want to wrestle her forever. Yeah, you never know. I don't know. I'm open to all challenges. It was cool to wrestle Kiera. I think it was really cool to bridge, because that was AEW. She's with AEW now, but she never had a shot at the Impact Knockouts Championship while she was there. Yeah. And then at NWA, I was able to, we were able to kind of do that and have a moment and have this match for her. And I just have so much love and admiration for her. It's the story's out there, for obvious reasons, but she's just got such a good heart and soul, and she's so passionate, and she's so young, and she's going to go so far. She's going to do so much, and so I'm just excited. I just never thought that we would actually be in the same ring together, so to be able to make that happen, was freaking cool.
Yeah, I mean, her reaction after your first matchup with each other on NWA, it made it more impactful, and you understood how important it was to her.
Right. Yeah. And it's so crazy, because I go like, I remember her like when I first met her, and she was just, a teenager, and she, she'd come to my music concerts and stuff. So I remembered it then, but yeah, it's just, and to see her growth and so quickly, like the minute she said, oh, I want to be a wrestler and I'm going to go to wrestling school, the minute she signed up, I mean, she was on television within a year. You think about that, like she probably one of the fastest growths of a performer, like wrestler that I've ever really seen. Naturally, in the sense of like, I'm going to sign up and go to wrestling school, and then all of a sudden I'm on television, and I'm, now I'm 2-time Knockouts Tag Team Champion, and I've only been wrestling for 5 years. I mean, I go like, I was 5 years before I ever, got signed by WWE. And it's certainly like, it's just that how different the business and how quickly things are going and how open the market is now. It's like, it's so many opportunities out there. So that's a cool thing.
It's a wide open spectrum, and a lot of that is down to all the people that have, left, bigger companies or other companies and been able to revitalize their career. And you're one of them. Your success since leaving WWE has been amazing. It's been marvelous. Yet it was expected, because, like I said at the beginning, you're one of the most decorated women's wrestlers of all time. What would be your advice to the current free agents on the market on how to use their release as a catapult to even more success in the future? And what free agents do you see that catches your eye, and do you see as a good fit for Impact?
Oh gosh. Wow, that's a tough question.
I hit him hard. That's what True Hill Heat.
I think Scarlett and Killer Cross, that's a hell of a act right there. That's a heck of a duo. Like that. That one kind of mind blew me a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, there's so much talent. That's just it. And I feel like a lot of them are getting signed pretty quickly. And that's just it. There's like so much happening. I think too, because I have to think like if I'm in the headspace of when I got released the first time, because I feel like that's the same headspace that they're probably in. Whereas this time I wasn't worried at all. Like I pretty much got the call and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, thanks for it sucks. It does. It sucks because I go like, I should have cleaned my drawer out myself, and I should have said goodbye to all these people. Like I knew I kind of like at Mania, I got this, whatever. I'm like, I'm a bit like, I feel like I kind of like, I was getting the vibe and I go like, oh, this kind of feels like this might be my last time in this locker room as a talent. Like, this is really weird. Like I just kind of had this like moment in the hotel or like in the locker room. And I'm just kind of like, And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the rest of it. I'm just going to enjoy it and embrace it. And I love these girls and I love the locker room and I love the company and I love my time there. And I'm just going to take it and see what happens. And it really was like pretty quickly that I was gone. But then I just felt, for me, it was different. Like I wasn't ready to, like, I wasn't hungry just to get out on the scene and start wrestling and prove to everybody. And I kind of had put my eggs in this, I want this, because this is what a lot of my conversations were about, or at least I wanted to do this thing for women and to highlight women's wrestling and see if I could make this successful, at least if nothing else, to prove myself right or wrong. Right.
Yeah.
And then out of that, but for them, I go like, you know, one of the biggest blessings for me was the reinvention of Mickie James and the character of going into hardcore country and really challenging myself in different ways. And the beautiful thing is now that there's so much talent out there that you have the power, you have your power back, you have your control back over your character, over your promos, and all these like little things. So I would say just use it as an opportunity to grow and go have some matches that you've always wanted to have, but you couldn't. And maybe, you know, this time when you have to go, instead of going on tour and you're on tour for 3 weeks, but in a different city every week, you could go for, you know, a week for 2 shows and maybe just stay for the rest of the time and have a real vacation and actually see the country like that. Enjoy, take the moments, like embrace them and just really, really enjoy them. That's all, because life is too short. And, you know, careers are the things that you can't base our value based off of our careers. You have to base your value based off your life, you know, and you lived it. So.
Thank you. I know like there's going to be a lot of people that definitely need to hear that type of advice. So I thank you so much, Mickie. And thank you so much for your time, for talking to me. I want to thank Impact Wrestling as well, as we talk about Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill on January 8th at the Factory in Dallas, Texas. Thank you for correcting me.
Of course. No worries. I didn't want them to come at you, you know.
I appreciate that, Mickie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Impact Wrestling. Like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new,